So I'm going to go to quizzes. It doesn't call them tests for some reason, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that plus sign on the top right hand corner. It says quiz. I'm going to click on that. And let's call this one Chapter 1 Practice Quiz. And I'll delete this before I add some instructions. You better study. And then I'm going to go to the questions portion. And then when I go to find questions, what I'm going to find is on the left, you're going to see a lot of the questions that you've already known are available to you. Let's see if I can make this a little bit. There we go. A little bit more. So here, for example, under Chapter 1, one of the things that we've done differently is we've actually broken them down by question type. So I went ahead and removed all of the essay questions. So there's no essay questions in there. I went in manually and reviewed every. There's no essay questions. So there's no essay questions. So those have been removed and they're broken down by easy, medium, and hard. So if easy, you have for Chapter 1, you have 51 questions. You have 53 questions medium and 36 questions for hard. You're going to have well over 100 questions per chapter that you can assign. So let's come up with a wild idea. Let's say we're going to do chapters 1 through 5 as part of the test, just for the sake of it. So Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, 4. I apologize for my horrible writing. Chapter 5. And let's say I am going to randomize. Let's say I'm going to get, let's say 120 questions from there, 120 from here, 120. Oh, these are back zeros. 120, 120. So by the end of this, you're going to have a lot of assessment questions available. And let's say that's your pool. So I'm not going to do the math. Let's say it's 500 or 520, 40, 680. 600. Yeah, look at you guys. 600. That's a horrible 6. Anyways, so let's say out of that pool of 600, you're only going to assign 50 of those questions because you want a 50 question assessment just for the sake of 50 points, for example, 1 point per question. So now, what is the probability that, say, Byron and I are students in one of your classes? What is the probability if I'm in the computer lab, and we're like, do you want to work? Do you want to take the midterm together? What is the probability of both Byron and I having the same question out of those 50, even at any one point? The probability out of, it's going to be pretty low, especially because we reorganize the questions. Someone might be having a question on Chapter 5 while they're being asked the question on Chapter 2, and the probability is really low. And the reason why we have so many assessments and all of that would be automatically graded through Canvas. So if you did that, would you choose? So yeah, now let's actually look at, since we talked about it like in broad terms, let's say, for example, I'm going to go to Test Bank Easy, scroll to the bottom because there's always more questions. That's everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top, select all, scroll to the bottom, add questions to a group. Yep, I'm going to call it Chapter 1. I want all of my pooled Chapter 1 questions to be one group. So just for the sake of it, Chapter 1. Well, this is just the one group first. So we want to just do the one group. And then I want, let's say, how many did we want? So it's 5 chapters, let's say 10 questions, right? 50 questions overall out of 5 chapters. So 10 questions and 1 point. So create group. Add those questions, and then those questions will be added. So then what I do, because you have to do it one group at a time, so it does take a few minutes, but really within just a few minutes, you're going to have. So then what I would do here is I would go back to find questions, go back to Chapter 1. Let's say now I'm going to go to Chapter 1 medium. So medium is right here. I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and select more questions. Why? Because there's always more questions, and Canvas only shows you a certain amount. I'm I'm going to go and select all, knowing that all of the open essay questions should have been removed, which I already did, and I reviewed every single one. I removed all the essay questions, and I'm going to put them in that same group. Add selected questions, and then it's going to add them there. And then I go into hard, and then those get added there too. And then I start chapter 2 group, and I do the same thing. So chapter 2's group, and then I have 120 questions or 120 plus questions for chapter 1 group, 120 plus questions for chapter 2 group, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. Once I set it, it's like those old infomercials. You set it and you forget it. You set it, you assign it to your students, and then they take the assessment. It is automatically graded through Canvas, and there you go. What's up? Yeah. So this is a true false question. So yeah. So sorry, it says right. Yeah, right there. So the question, you see the question there, the points, you can change the point value, and then it'll let you know if it's true or false. And then here, what I would do is I'm going to scroll over here. Multiple choice. Huh? Well, that question? No, this is one of the medium questions. So some of the medium questions are definitely a little. Oh, sorry. Yes. I apologize. Because I got it from the medium tab, and it came in afterwards. I did. No, I had flashcards. My kids quiz me. It explodes. So you can just move it. That's a good question. Hang on once. I don't know. That's actually a good question. I'm not sure. But I think it just moves it to the top. Because I think it does group it in by like. Oh, and you can also click on this, which is show question details, and then it shows you which is the answer. If you do the first group as like show question detail before you start to add more questions and you click it, it'll be forced to do it. It's one of those glitchy things. It's like a little trick that I learned. So basically, if after the first one, sometimes when you click this show question details may not even be an option, but if you click on it after you've only added a certain number of questions and then you click on it, it'll then always show you all that. It'll just default to that. But this one I did with like 100 questions, so maybe they've done updates. Canvas has become like the new like #1 LMS, so they're probably they're hopefully making those updates that we've been complaining about. No.
Those are your options. Yeah. Those are distinct options. And it shows you which ones are correct.
Oh, so it is a multiple choice. But the one that was open-ended, it wasn't a multiple choice. What if, so the answer was changed?
No, that was multiple choice.
No, there's one that we showed. Let me go back to it.
So the confusion is, so like this is the preview question section, but he actually clicked on the edit button, so there's a lot of options in there. So
I apologize. I went in to start editing.
You can change the answers if you don't like the way it's worded.
So yeah. So for example, here, if I go to edit this question, then it looks a little wonky. It looks like that, and it starts to get a little bit. Yeah, I apologize. That looks a lot more clunky than this. Looks a lot easier. You can absolutely add your own questions too, which is really cool. That's one of the great things about having everything within your learning management system. You're very much in the driver's seat. You can edit, create, do all that fun stuff. This one? This one? Wait. Yes. I'm gonna go to cancel. Where'd you go, friend? There we go. And then if I go to this one, it looks a little wonky. I'm gonna go to cancel. There's that question. So creating questions for a learning management system and having them formatted, it actually does take a lot of work and time. That's why we went with a more reputable company, especially with the new edition of the book. We're actually doing that going forward. It's the quality of the questions, the overall really just like the quality of the questions and making sure everything's formatted is really, really important. So we wanted to make sure that we did that. And the Kuthers second edition really did a great job. Like the people that worked on it did a really good job. So that's how you can kind of create at least like a midterm or a final. You can add as many questions as you want from there. You can really get crazy with it. You can add in some video assessments, whatever you would like. What I'm going to do.
You wrote your own questions, because I know that I keep them in a separate test bank because I'm so freaked out that I'm not going to remember, like, and then when so when things get updated, I don't want my stuff to get sucked out.
Sure.
So with that, is that your recommendation if you're going to write your own questions? Like I just named it my questions, chapter 1.
So if you have.
Import just those, and then when you guys update your book, then I'm using your textbook questions in my old, because my stuff usually doesn't change as much as yours.
Right. You can always export specific pieces of content too. So for example, if you just wanted to export just the test bank from there, you can always do that as well. So you can just remove, or you can save those. But I see what you mean, just as far as like wanting to make sure you save them. Makes sense. Yeah.
And then as your stuff changes, I'll probably change my stuff too.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I'm going to go back. Actually, I'm going to go back to quizzes because I want to make sure before I get too far into the weeds and making changes that I remove that assessment because I don't want it. So before, do we have any questions that we can help with?
Yeah, what questions do you guys have in terms of maybe Canvas, our content?
So I'm just to make sure that I didn't leave it somewhere.
Anything else you'd like to see?
There's a lot of things here, and thankfully I'm recording everything, so that's going to be really helpful.
So those case, even those case moment assessments, you can't incorporate those into any other of the regular tests. They're just separate.
You can. Sorry, I have the Baby Shark song stuck in my head.
Don't we all? That's healthy in this group. Yeah. If you heard another song,
That's right. So let me go ahead and go to edit. This is the quiz that I think this might be the one we were working on right now. So for example, if I wanted to pull questions, I think this was it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to find questions. So if you wanted to create an assessment using a variety of different, yes, so the case moments are there. Those pre-test questions, if for example, if you're like, you know what, I really like the pre-tests, but I'm not really using them, I'm only using the post-test questions, then you could absolutely use those as well. You can pull from there. These
so
are
the pre and post test questions for a particular chapter, are they somehow tied together?
no, they're on the same chapter content because it's on the same chapter, but it'll be entirely different questions. So the reason why we did that was we didn't want questions to repeat by accident. So that was a big thing too. We wanted to make sure that the chapter test was different from the post test and the pre-test. So essentially, if you wanted to pull, so 25 plus 100 for plus 10 plus the 120 or something we had for the other ones, you probably have about 180, 100, 200 questions almost per chapter that you can assign.
So the pre ones aren't easier.
They're a little bit easier. They're slightly easier. They're not much, no.